Hammond and a little boy found a trapped K9 German Shepherd in a fence. What he did next will melt your heart. A forgotten alley, a rusted fence, and behind it a once mighty K9 German Shepherd, abandoned and barely holding on. No one knew how long he had been there or who left him. But when a quiet 9-year-old boy named Eli stumbled upon him on his walk home from school, something incredible happened. What the boy did next will move you to tears and remind you of the pure, unstoppable power of a child's heart. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn on notifications. It helps us bring you more emotional and inspiring stories like this one. Stories that celebrate courage, kindness, and the powerful bond between humans and dogs. Eli Turner was a kind of boy most people overlooked. He didn't speak much at school, kept his head down, and walked home alone every day, dragging a frayed red backpack behind him. His shoes were always a little dirty, and his shirts had buttons that didn't quite match. But he had something no one else seemed to have, a quiet kind of courage, the kind that didn't shout, but waited for the right moment to act. That moment came on a Thursday afternoon. It was late fall in the small town of Crest Hill, and the streets were already lined with piles of yellow leaves. Eli took his usual shortcut to the alley behind the old hardware store, abandoned for years and mostly forgotten. Cracked pavement, overgrown findings, and a rusted fence sealed it off from the world. He liked it back there. No one bothered him. The world didn't expect anything. But that day he heard something, a sound that made him stop in his tracks. It was faint, like a whimper, muffled, shaky, and filled with something that felt almost like pain. Eli's heartbeat quickened. He glanced around. There was no one in the alley. Carefully, he stepped toward the fence, brushing the vines aside. And then he saw him. In the far corner of the lot, behind tangled brush and broken wood, lay a dog. Not just any dog, a German Shepherd. Big, strong, or at least he had once been. Now he looked weak. His fur was dirty, matted, and covered in eat. A heavy chain was wrapped tight around his neck, connected to a metal rod buried in the concrete. His back leg had a dried wound crusted with dirt, but the part that stopped Eli cold were his eyes. They were wide, tired, and silently begging for help. Eli dropped to his knees beside the fence. "Hey," he whispered. "Hey, boy, you okay?" The dog didn't growl, didn't bark. He just lifted his head slightly, ears twitching. Eli had never owned a dog. His dad said they were too much work, too expensive, too noisy. But he had read books, watched videos. He knew a little. "Are you stuck?" He slid his fingers through the chain link. The dog didn't flinch. Slowly, Eli inched closer to the fence, eyes locked on the shepherd. Okay, he whispered, more to himself than to the dog. "I'll come back. I promise." The next day, Eli skipped his usual after-school stop at the corner store. Instead, he ran home, grabbed the leftover chicken from the fridge, and stuffed it into a plastic bag. Then he slipped out the back door before his dad could ask where he was going. When he returned to the alley, the dog was still there. Eli pulled the chicken from his bag and gently tossed a piece through the fence. The shepherd sniffed it, then slowly, carefully crawled forward and ate it. "You like that?" Eli smiled. "Bet it's better than nothing." Over the next few minutes, Eli fed the rest of the chicken to the dog in small pieces. Each time, the shepherd came closer until, finally, his nose was nearly touching the fence. "I'm going to call you Major," Eli said softly. "You look like a soldier." For the first time, the dog's tail moved. Just once, a single wag. Eli felt something spark inside him. He didn't know what it was exactly, but it felt like the beginning of something big. That night, Eli couldn't sleep. He kept replaying the dog's eyes in his mind. There was something haunted in them, like he had seen too much, like he had been trained to do things and then left behind. Who chained a dog like that? Why leave him behind a locked fence? And why hadn't anyone done anything? Eli turned on his bedside light and grabbed his notebook. He drew a picture of Major curled up, eyes tired, body still, but not broken. He wrote underneath, "I will come back. You won't be alone anymore." And deep down, even though he was just a boy, Eli meant it. The next morning, Eli woke up before the alarm. The sun hadn't even touched the sky, and his small bedroom was still dark, but he was wide awake. Major was all he could think about. He slipped out of bed and tiptoed past his father's room. The hallway creaked, but his dad didn't stir. Eli packed half a peanut butter sandwich, a bottle of water, and the small flashlight from the junk drawer. He shoved everything into his backpack and ran. The town was quiet at that hour, just a hum of early delivery trucks and a soft breeze sweeping leaves through the gutter. By the time Eli reached the alley, the first light of dawn was just breaking through the trees. He held his breath as he rounded the corner. Major was still there, curled tight behind the fence, eyes open, watching. "Hey, boy," Eli whispered, kneeling down. "I told you I'd come back." Major didn't move, but his tail gave a slow thump against the dirt. It was more than enough. Eli sat down and reached into his bag, breaking the sandwich into little bites and pushing them through the fence. Major ate every crumb, gently. His muzzle brushed Eli's fingertips each time. That's when Eli saw the chain again, heavy, rusted, dug deep into the earth and wrapped tightly around the shepherd's neck. And there, almost hidden beneath his fur, was a worn leather tag. Eli squinted and leaned closer. The letters were faint but still there. K9 Unit Military Base 27 Rex. Eli's eyes widened. "Major, your real name is Rex." The dog didn't react to the name immediately, but when Eli repeated it softly, "Rex," the shepherd lifted his head just slightly. Eli's heart pounded. "You were in the military?" Suddenly, the sadness in the dog's eyes made sense. The obedience, the silence, the pain. He hadn't just been left behind. He had been abandoned, discarded after years of loyalty. Eli felt something rise in his chest, anger and something else, responsibility. He knew he couldn't leave Rex another night like that. The chain had to go. Eli pulled the flashlight from his bag and scanned the base of the fence. The metal rod anchoring the chain was jammed between two concrete blocks. He grabbed the chain and tugged, but it didn't budge. "Hang on, buddy," he muttered. "I'll find a way." He looked around. The alley was quiet, but across the lot, he saw a wooden shed, probably part of the old store. Its door was hanging off the hinges. Eli slipped through the broken fence and crept toward it. Inside, dust hung in the air like fog. Tools were scattered across the ground, most rusted and useless. But in the back, under a pile of tarp, he found a bolt cutter, heavy, big, and exactly what he needed. He dragged it back to the fence, his arms trembling from the weight. Rex didn't move. Eli knelt, positioning the cutter at the base of the chain. "It's okay," he whispered. "This might be loud, but I'll be quick." He pressed the handles together hard. Clank. The tool barely dented the chain. Eli groaned and tried again, pushing with everything he had. Clang. Snap. The chain cracked at last, one link breaking clean. Rex jumped, startled, then froze. Eli dropped the handle of the cutter and crawled closer. "You're free," he whispered, barely able to believe it. "You're really free." Rex stood slowly, testing his weight. He limped a little, but he moved. He took one step, then another, and crossed the fence line, standing beside Eli. No leash, no collar pulling him back, just freedom. "You're not staying here," Eli said, brushing dirt from Rex's side. "Come home with me." But before they could leave, they heard it. A voice, sharp, angry close. "Hey, what the hell do you think you're doing?" Eli spun around. An older man stormed into the alley, his face red with rage, his hands balled into fists. "That dog's not yours," he shouted. "He's mine and you're trespassing." Rex growled, a low, deep rumble from his chest. He stepped in front of Eli, body rigid, protective. Eli's voice trembled. "You chained him up. I own him." The man snapped. He was too old to work, useless. "No," Eli said, standing straighter. "He's not useless. He just needed someone to care." The man took a threatening step forward. Rex barked once, sharp, loud, and full of warning. The man stopped cold, but Eli knew this wasn't over. The man's boots crunched over gravel as he took another step toward them. Eli felt his breath hitch, his fists clench instinctively, but he didn't move. Rex stood like a wall between them, muscles tensed, ears sharp, eyes locked on the threat. "I said," the man growled, "that dog is mine." Rex growled again, louder this time. His posture shifted subtly, protective and ready. Eli could feel the tension radiating from him like heat. "No," Eli said, voice trembling but strong. "You left him chained in a corner, starving. He's not yours." The man laughed bitterly. "You think feeding him a couple scraps makes you a hero? That dog was government property. Retired from base 27. Got too slow for patrol. I took him to keep him from being put down. He's lucky I didn't shoot him myself." Eli's jaw dropped. "You were going to kill him?" He wasn't useful anymore. Rex let out a bark, so fierce the man flinched. Eli stepped forward, one hand on Rex's back. "He is useful," Eli said. "He protected me. He still matters." The man spat on the ground. "You're just a dumb kid. This doesn't concern you." Rex lunged, not to bite but to scare, and it worked. The man stumbled back, tripping over a piece of broken pipe, landing hard on the dirt. He scrambled to his feet, glaring. "This isn't over," he hissed. "You'll regret this." And with that, he turned and stormed off down the alley. Eli didn't relax until a man disappeared around the corner. He turned to Rex, his knees weak. "You saved me." The dog looked up at him, breathing heavily but calm, like he had done this 100 times before. Maybe he had. Back home, Eli paced in the kitchen, chewing his thumbnail, trying to think. His dad wouldn't be back until late. The house was silent, except for the ticking clock and the soft thud of Rex's tail hitting the floor every few seconds as he lay near the back door. Eli grabbed the cordless phone. He hesitated, then called someone he never thought he'd need. Officer Jenkins, the school's safety resource officer. When the officer picked up, Eli blurted, "It's about a dog. A canine. He was left behind, and now someone's trying to take him again." "Slow down, Eli," the officer said, surprised. "Where are you?" Eli explained everything. From the alley to the chain to the tag that read base 27, and the man who tried to take Rex back. Officer Jenkins went quiet. Then Eli asked, "If that tag's real, that dog was once a federally trained canine. That changes everything." The next morning, a patrol car pulled up outside Eli's house. Rex barked once, but stayed calm as the officer approached. Officer Jenkins knelt and looked at the shepherd. "You must be Rex," he said gently. Rex blinked, calm, alert, still. "You weren't imagining it," the officer said to Eli. "This dog isn't just a stray. He was part of the military's K-9 unit. But records show he went missing months ago, listed as unrecoverable. They thought he died. He didn't," Eli said. "He was left behind." The officer nodded slowly. "And you saved him." Rex nudged his head under Eli's hand. Eli smiled, eyes burning. But then Officer Jenkins added, "There's more. That man you saw, the one who chained Rex, he's under investigation, accused of taking government dogs and selling them illegally. Rex may have been one of them." Eli's heart raced. "So what happens now?" "We'll open an official case," Jenkins said. "But until we get a court order, technically, Rex is still lost military property. He might need to go back to the base temporarily." "No," Eli said. "Please. He's finally safe. Can't he stay with me?" Jenkins looked at Rex, then at Eli. "I'll see what I can do." That night, Eli lay on the living room floor with Rex beside him, one hand on the dog's side, feeling the slow, steady rise and fall of his breath. He whispered, "You're not going anywhere. I don't care what they say." Rex didn't move, but somehow Eli knew he understood. 3 days had passed since Officer Jenkins left. 3 long, aching days. Eli barely ate. He didn't laugh at his cartoons. He didn't touch his sketchbook. He couldn't think about anything else except the words Jenkins had said before leaving. Technically, Rex doesn't belong to you. He's still military property. Eli didn't understand how something so alive, so full of heart, could be called property. Rex wasn't a machine. He wasn't a number. He was his. They had made a promise to protect each other. And Eli never broke promises. The knock came at 9 a.m. on a Saturday. Eli was sitting beside Rex in the backyard, brushing his fur with an old hairbrush. Rex had gotten stronger. His coat was shinier, his eyes brighter. but his limp still lingered. Eli had been researching online, trying to learn how to help heal an injured working dog. He even printed articles and taped them to his wall. When the knock sounded again, Eli's heart sank. He didn't want to answer, but he knew he had to. He opened the door slowly. It was Officer Jenkins. Behind him stood a tall woman in a dark navy uniform. Her hair was pulled tight, her eyes unreadable. A government ID badge hung from her neck. Eli, Jenkins said gently, "This is Major Carter from the K-9 Armor Recovery Division." Eli swallowed hard. Rex walked up behind him, tail low, body tense. Major Carter gave a small nod. "You must be the boy who found Unit 27, Rex." "He's not a unit," Eli said firmly. "His name is Rex." Her expression didn't change. "Eli," she said, "I know this is hard, but dogs like Rex are highly trained government assets. When they go missing, it becomes a serious matter." Eli stood straighter. He was left behind. "We don't dispute that," she replied, "which is why we're here to bring him back and investigate what happened." Rex growled low. Eli stepped in front of him protectively. "He's happy now," Eli said. "He's safe. He's mine." Jenkins cleared his throat. "The thing is, Eli, there's a chance I'll retire him officially. But there's a process. Paperwork, evaluation. It takes time. And until then..." Eli asked, "He goes with us?" Carter said, "Yes." Eli's voice cracked. "Please don't take him." There was silence. Then Carter knelt down to Rex's level. She didn't reach for him. She simply looked. "You've been through a lot," she said softly, "but you still have a job to do. You're still a soldier." Rex looked at her for a long time, then slowly turned his head to Eli. Carter stood. "He'll come with us, but I'll make you a promise, Eli. If the evaluation confirms he can no longer serve, we'll consider releasing him into a permanent home with me." Eli asked. She nodded. "If you're willing to fight for him." "I am." "Then start here," she said, handing him a clipboard. "Write a statement. Tell us why he belongs with you. Be honest. Be brave." Eli took the clipboard with shaking hands. That night, he sat at the kitchen table, staring at the blank page. The house was too quiet without Rex's breathing at his feet. The backyard looked empty. His heart felt like it had sunk into his stomach. He picked up the pen and began to write. "My name is Eli Turner. I'm 9 years old. I don't know a lot about military rules or papers, but I know about Rex. I know that he was scared and alone and hurt, and nobody came until me. I didn't want a dog. I didn't even know I needed one. But the first time he looked at me, I felt like I mattered. He's not just a soldier. He's a friend, a protector, a second chance. I don't care if I'm just a kid. I'll take care of him. I'll protect him the way he protected me. Please let him come home." Eli wiped his eyes. He folded the paper carefully and placed it back on the clipboard, and for the first time in days, he hoped the letter was delivered. The next morning, Eli sat by the window for hours, waiting, hoping. His hands trembled with every car that passed by the house. His dad tried to talk to him, asked if he wanted to go out for pancakes, but Eli barely responded. He couldn't eat, couldn't think. The only thing that mattered was whether someone, somewhere, would read his words and say, "Yes, he can come home." But the answer didn't come in a letter. It came in a knock. When he opened the door, Officer Jenkins was standing there again, alone. This time, he held a single envelope. "It's from the K-9 board," Jenkins said. "They reviewed your letter, and Major Carter brought forward your request personally." Eli's chest rose and felt like he'd run a mile, and Jenkins handed him the envelope. "They want to meet with you. They're holding a hearing downtown tomorrow morning. They're giving you a chance to make your case in person." Eli stared. "But I'm just a kid." Jenkins smiled gently. "Maybe that's exactly why they want to hear from you." The next morning, Eli wore his best shirt, the one his mom had sent him 2 Christmases ago. It was a little tight now, and the sleeves were short, but it still felt lucky. His dad drove him to the government building in silence. He didn't know what to say. Neither did Eli. The room was bigger than he expected. Bright lights, long desks, 3 men and 2 women sitting in formal suits. Major Carter stood near the back, arms crossed, watching. And at the far end of the room, behind a gate, sat Rex. His ears perked the moment Eli entered. He stood. Eli's eyes watered instantly. "Hi, buddy," he whispered. The board chair cleared his throat. "Eli Turner, please come forward." He walked slowly to the table, his palms sweaty, knees wobbling. He placed a letter on the table, but his voice, when it came, was stronger than he thought it would be. "I know you don't usually give dogs to kids," he began, "but Rex isn't just a dog." He looked over at Rex, who was watching him with full attention, like he was listening. "He saved me from a man who tried to hurt us, from being alone. He didn't just protect me, he trusted me, and I promised I'd never let him be chained again." One of the board members raised a brow. "And if we say no?" Eli swallowed. "Then you'll be taking him away from the only place he's felt safe since he got left behind. You'll be punishing him for being loyal." He paused. "I know I'm a kid, but I'm not asking for a toy. I'm asking for my best friend back." Silence. Then the woman at the center leaned forward. "You understand the responsibility of caring for a retired K9? The vet costs the training?" Eli nodded. "I've been reading everything. I've already started saving my lunch money, and Officer Jenkins said he'd help. So did my teacher. Even my dad said we'll figure it out." Jenkins, sitting in the back, nodded. The board whispered to each other. Pages turned. Voices hushed. Then the chair stood. "Eli Turner," he said, "we've never had a case like yours. But your words and your actions have shown us something more powerful than protocol." He glanced toward Rex. "We believe this dog has already chosen his home." Eli blinked. "What does that mean?" The woman smiled. "It means he's yours." Eli couldn't move, couldn't speak, but Rex did. He barked once, sharp and clear, and rushed toward the gate. Major Carter opened it with a nod. Rex ran straight to Eli, knocking him onto his knees, licking his face, his tail wagging like it hadn't in years. Eli laughed through tears. "I told you," he whispered, holding him tight. "You're coming home." That night, Eli and Rex curled up on a blanket in the backyard under the stars. Eli whispered, "No more chains, no more cages, just us now." Rex laid his head on Eli's chest, let out a long sigh, and finally closed his eyes. Safe. Home. The days after the hearing felt like a dream. Eli and Rex became inseparable. They walked to school together, Eli with his backpack bouncing, Rex keeping pace by his side. After class, they played in the field behind the house, where Rex would chase sticks but never run too far, always circling back to Eli like he was afraid to lose sight of him. For the first time in his life, Eli didn't feel invisible. Everyone knew his name now, the boy who stood up to the system and won. But the attention didn't matter to him. All that mattered was that Rex was safe. Until the knock came. It was a Saturday morning. Eli was sitting at the kitchen table, drawing a picture of Rex in his notebook, when someone knocked at the front door. Not a casual knock, a hard, fast, angry knock. Rex was up in an instant, ears alert, his whole body rigid. Eli's dad opened the door, and there he was, the man from the alley, the one who had chained Rex and claimed to own him. He wore a leather jacket, dark sunglasses, and a smirk that made Eli's stomach twist. "I'm not here to argue," the man said. "I just want what's mine." Rex growled low, stepping between the man and Eli like a wall of muscle and warning. Eli's dad blocked the doorway. "You need to leave." "I have a legal claim," the man said, pulling a crumpled paper from his pocket. "Found Rex during a mission, took care of him when no one else would. I have witnesses. You can't just steal him." "He's not yours," Eli said from behind his dad. The man leaned slightly to the side, eyes locked on Eli. "You think a boy like you can keep a dog like that? You have no idea what he's capable of. That dog's been trained for war. He's dangerous." "No," Eli said, voice steady. "He's loyal." The man laughed. "We'll see how loyal he is when I file charges." He turned and walked away without another word. Rex stood by the door, trembling, not with fear, but with something else. something old buried. His eyes locked on the spot where the man had been. Eli reached out slowly and touched his back. "It's okay," he whispered. "He can't take you." "I won't let him." But Rex didn't move. Not for a long time. That night, Eli couldn't sleep. He lay awake with Rex beside him, listening to the silence. Every creak in the house made his heart race. He knew the man wasn't going to give up, and that paper, whatever it said, might be enough to stir up trouble. In the dark, Eli whispered, "Did he hurt you?" Rex lifted his head just slightly. Eli scooted closer and put his hand gently over Rex's scarred collar line. "He won't again," he said. "I promise." The next day, Officer Jenkins showed up without warning. He looked grim. "We have a situation," he said. Eli's dad stood beside him as they reviewed the paper the man had filed. "He's trying to claim Rex as his private property under a salvage law. Says the military abandoned the dog and he took custody legally." "That's a lie," Eli said. "I know," Jenkins replied, "and we're contesting it. Major Carter's already on the case, but means there may be a hearing again." Eli's hands balled into fists. Why won't they just let him go? Jenkins looked at Rex, who sat calmly beside Eli, tail gently thumping against the floor. "Because some people only see value in control," Jenkins said. "They don't understand loyalty unless it comes with a leash." Eli looked down at Rex and nodded. "Then we'll fight again." That evening, while Eli was brushing Rex's fur, the shepherd suddenly stiffened and turned toward the window. A shadow moved outside. Eli ran to the window. A black SUV sat parked across the street, the same one from the alley. Inside, the man was sitting watching. Eli stepped back, breathing hard. Rex didn't bark. He didn't growl. But he walked to Eli and pressed his head gently into the boy's side, like a quiet promise. Whatever came next, they'd face it together. The courthouse felt bigger this time. Not because it had changed, but because Eli knew what was at stake. This wasn't just a hearing. This was a fight for Rex's freedom. Officer Jenkins walked beside Eli through the marble halls. "You ready, kid?" Eli nodded. His jaw was tight, his hands trembling slightly, but his heart was clear. He had never been more ready for anything in his life. Inside the courtroom, the same judges sat behind the bench. But across the aisle, at the other table, sat him, the man from the alley. Slick back hair, that same smug grin. His lawyer adjusted a briefcase and whispered something in his ear. Rex sat calmly at Eli's feet, alert but composed. The court had allowed him in under special request. His presence was everything. When the session began, the man's lawyer stood first. He spoke for a long time. Legal words, references to custody and salvage rights, even citing a clause about abandoned service animals. He painted a picture of a kind man who had rescued Rex and had every right to reclaim him. Eli clenched his fists. Then it was his turn. He walked up to the front slowly. Everyone in the room looked down at him. A boy, small and young, standing alone. But he wasn't alone. Rex walked beside him. "I know I don't have fancy words," Eli began, looking up at the judges. "I don't know much about courtrooms or lawyers, but I know about him." He placed his hand gently on Rex's head. This dog was chained behind a building, forgotten, starved, and scared. The man who says he rescued him, he left him there. The courtroom stirred. The man's lawyer objected, but the judge raised a hand. "Continue, Mr. Turner." Eli took a breath. Rex isn't just a dog. He's a soldier, a protector. He's been hurt and used and abandoned, and still he trusted me. He saved me when no one else did, and I promised I'd do the same for him. He reached into his pocket and unfolded a piece of paper. His letter. "This is what I wrote when I thought I might lose him the first time. I'm reading it again now because I still believe every word." He read slowly, voice clear and full of feeling. He's not just a soldier. He's a friend, a protector, a second chance. When he finished, there was silence. Even the man from the alley was quiet. Then Major Carter stepped forward. "I'd like to speak," she said. The judges nodded. I reviewed the claimant's record. He was never assigned as a caretaker for any military K-9. He was never authorized to house or rehabilitate Rex. In fact, she paused, raising a file. He's under investigation for involvement in an illegal sale ring involving retired service dogs. Gasps filled the room. The man stood suddenly, shouting, "You can't prove that." "You're right," Major Carter replied coldly. "Not yet, but the military intends to pursue full charges. And in the meantime, we are officially revoking all custody claims." The lead judge turned to Eli. "And as for the boy who stood up for what was right," she smiled, "we hereby approve the permanent adoption of Rex, formerly Unit 27RX, into the care of Eli Turner." Eli's mouth dropped open. Rex barked, not a bark of warning, but joy. Eli dropped his knees, and Rex rushed into his arms, tail wagging like he was a puppy again. The whole courtroom broke into soft applause. Even Officer Jenkins wiped his eyes. "You did it, kid," he whispered. That night, back at home, Eli opened the front door and let Rex run freely into the backyard. No collar, no leash, just open space and stars. He followed him out barefoot, standing under the moonlight. Rex turned to him and sat. Eli knelt down and hugged him close. "We made it. You're really home now." Rex leaned into him, and for the first time in a long time, they both belonged, not to anyone, but to each other. Forever.